What's up, guys? Sean here, coming at y'all with a quick little video. I know it's been a couple days since my last post. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get on here more often, but we're going to cover a little bit of Eagles stuff today, a little bit of 76ers stuff. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. With that being said, we're just going to jump right into things today. Before we dig into any one specific thing, I just want to talk about the Eagles real quick and talk about now that we've been through 9 days of training camp and we've really started to dig into what this team's going to look like, what the identity is through the 9 days of training camp and leading into our first preseason game, which is coming up pretty soon. And I think we're going to see a lot of the same stuff we saw from the Super Bowl year. I think you're going to see a very run heavy offense. I think you're going to see a good sprinkling of Smitty, obviously being the wide receiver one. Dallas Goedert's kind of going to be our second option. And then it's going to really be up to Darius Cooper, Deontay Wicks, and Mekhi Lemon, among a few other people, to kind of pick up that third wide receiver, that third target from game to game. The run game through this point in training camp has been unstoppable. Most of it has been unpadded practices, so you take it with a grain of salt. Guys can't tackle the same. But through every padded practice we've had, no matter what the injuries are at wide receiver, no matter what the injuries have been across the O line, you're seeing a solid run game and great performances from Tank and Saquon. You don't need Saquon this year to go out and put up 2,000 yards like he did the Super Bowl year to have a chance to run your way to a championship this year. A lot of people fail to remember that when the Eagles lost the Super Bowl against the Chiefs the first time, we ran to a Super Bowl that year with Miles Sanders, with Jalen Hurts, and with a couple of other guys in the backfield, just sprinkling in a little bit here and there where needed. I think Tank Bixby is probably better than any running back we've had in the past 5 or 6 years, minus Saquon Barkley, and they're playing together on the same team. I think that is one of the most dangerous 1-2 punches in the league, and not enough people are talking about it. And now, with the way the league is, a lot of nickel packages, a lot of dime packages, we've seen that if the Eagles can lock in on offense, even against stacked boxes, with the RPO, with read options, with Saquon, with Tank, with Jalen Hurts, and then Smitty proving himself to be a wide receiver one, couple other guys make some plays, all of a sudden you're looking exactly the same as you did a couple years ago, and you could run your way to another championship. And I think that's exciting to watch. The thing that's different about that Super Bowl performance, but not so much from our last Super Bowl win, is the defense. I think the defense takes another step. We don't even have Jonathan Grenard on the field through all of these training camp practices, and we still look like a top defense. They're still making plays, unbelievably shut down. The only thing this defense has really gave up has been the run game to Saquon Barkley and to Tank Bixby. That's really the only things that we've seen up to this point that they've given an inch on. And you have to expect that when the games are real, when there's actually real stakes behind winning and losing each week, you're going to see a lot more solid run defense from this team. But the pass defense has been immaculate. Safeties have been great. It really looks like Michael Carter's kind of won the job at this point. Marcus Epps obviously still has a chance. Howie Roseman could still absolutely make a move, but it really looks like Michael Carter's the starting safety next to Andrew Mabuka. And then obviously your three starting corners are Quinyon, Cooper, and Reek Woolen. Now, Cooper might still move in and out of safety roles at times, but those are the guys that more than likely you're going to see. At linebacker, you're obviously locked in with Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell. Not really too many surprises there, although we've had great linebacker play from the guys behind them. And then on the D line, it's going to be Jalix Hunt, Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, and Jalen Carter, Jonathan Grenard. I think Nolan Smith has pretty much ran himself out of a job. AJ Epinoza has actually had a really strong camp. Same with Arnold, the guy we got from that was with Atlanta last year. I can never say his last name. I'm just not even going to try. But the two backup pass rushers have shown a lot through this camp. And both of those guys are guys that I would put a lot of trust into, even if Grenard needed a couple games into the season. I think Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, and those two backups could absolutely get you through a good chunk of this season. And Grenard is going to be the cherry on top whenever he does come back. And I want him to be fully healthy when he does come back. Offensively, the wide receiver battle's really shaken out. You're starting to see Darius Cooper is pretty much the wide receiver too. Wicks has had a really good camp, but he's still shown some flaws. He's got a little bit more growing to do. I think Darius Cooper's biggest advantage is comfortability and confidence in Jalen Hurts that they're going to be on the same page. And with time, Wicks will get to that point as well. And the things that he's done throughout camp are going to continue to grow, and he's just going to look better as well. As for Makai Lemon, I've officially got no hope for him. I know that we should wait, we should see him healthy, but I've seen so much out of so many guys up to this point, and we saw so little out of Lemon even when he was healthy. It makes it hard to see how he's even going to fit into this team. Even if he is a pure slot guy, are we really going to stagnate our offense because we drafted a guy in the first round, or are we actually going to develop someone the way we normally would and the way teams normally should? Let it happen organically. Don't push anything. But for right now, Makai Lemon and even Eli Stowers, I just don't have a lot of faith in right now. Hopefully, in a couple years, we'll see a little bit more out of those guys. But the team, as it's set right now, still looks like it can make some really, really good moves and still looks like it can make a lot of noise right now. So I'm excited about that. All right, so here we're going to bounce around a little bit. We're just going to cover a lot of the stuff that I've been meaning to cover over the past couple days, even some stuff that we just found recently before I started recording this video. New Sixers guard KCP is at the gym to observe Philly's young guys play at UCLA, as is most of the coaching staff and the team executive Bob Myers. Now, obviously, here you can take a good look. Barlow, Phylon, VJ, a couple of the other young guys, KCP here with them. It's amazing that they're out there and they're putting in work. All the young guys on this team understand that they are now completely expendable, short of maybe VJ Edgecombe, maybe LeBaron Phylon. But guys like Justin Edwards, Dominic Barlow, Jabari Walker, these are guys that now have to play perfect to stay on this team. They really can't afford to make any mistakes because you're on a team that's now in a title contention window that they didn't think they were going to be in. And as much as we'd love to develop these guys and keep them on our team, you've got LeBron, you've got Maxey, you've got VJ, you've got Jaylen Brown. You need guys that are going to contribute on the bench, help you get through the regular season, and then play impactful minutes in the postseason. So with that being said, seeing these guys in the gym just gets me pumped. VJ has been working nonstop since the season ended, and I absolutely love to see that. I'm going to continue to call him baby Dwayne Wade. I mean, VJ reminds me so much of Dwayne Wade. No matter how much people said he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that, he couldn't do this, he went and he did it anyway. Drafted higher than people probably thought he should have been, yada, yada, yada. He's our baby Dwayne Wade at this point. He never stops working, crazy hustle, defensive intensity, and just a willingness to improve in every way, shape, or form. And I love that about VJ. This keeps me hyped. I'm so glad to see the young guys putting in work. Vic Fangio here had a presser, said some crazy shit about Quinyon Mitchell. I'm not going to dive into that, although we're probably going to turn it into a TikTok here soon, and then I'll spread it around on there. But he thinks that Jalen Hurts is having a pretty good camp. I've been saying it every day. No matter what the defense looks like, no matter what the offense looks like, no matter what the injuries are, Jalen's going out and balling. All right. And I expect him to keep doing that. Absolutely love what I've seen from Jalen. I think this is the year Jalen goes fully cerebral with his game. You're going to see him dicing up defenses in a different way. You're going to see him thinking about the game in a different way, going through reads and progressions. And yes, you might see more mistakes than you've seen in the past, but it's because we're going to ask more of Jalen. And I think that only works in our favor. You need to get the max out of a guy that you're paying max quarterback money to. It's time to take the training wheels off and let's really sink or swim, because there's a lot of haters that I've been waiting to shut up with Jalen Hurts play for a couple years now. And outside of a couple Super Bowl performances, these coaches just have not gave Jalen a chance to go out and really show what he can do. I expect him to do that this year. If Vic Fangio says Jalen looks good, then I'm going to say he looks good. Vic don't bullshit. He don't play games. He don't talk about guys he's not interested in, and he don't lie. So I'm excited for that. If Vic says Jalen looks good, then I believe it. Second day in a row where I've noticed Eagles DT Uar Bernard really drive the offensive lineman, blocking him into the QB. He's clearly powerful. A couple days ago, Vic said something about Bernard being light years away from playing on the field. I did a video a couple days ago where I said I'd give him the fourth D tackle spot right now. I think you have enough top end talent at D tackle, even if there were injuries and shit went down throughout the year. He's my fourth DT. I would put one of these other guys on the practice squad, kind of work the work the roster. You know how he does it when we deal with injuries, when we need guys in a pinch. We'll make it work. I'm not letting him off my team. He's too big, too strong, too much love for the game. He's going to be a stud. I think he needs to start playing this year. I know it's crazy and it might not be the best idea in some ways, but I want to see him on the field. I want him getting snaps and learning as soon as possible because when he puts it together, he's going to be an absolute monster. And I can't wait to watch him actually play. Quinyon Mitchell went down at practice today, ended up back with his helmet on, nothing serious, but the team being overly cautious as they've been with everything, they pretty much held him out for the rest of the day. Mac McWilliams went in and took his spot. Earlier in camp, you would have thought it would have been like Keely Ringo, one of the guys we picked up last year. You really It's kind of surprising to see Mac McWilliams take that spot. Now, I said earlier, I love Mac McWilliams. He's a dog. He's got a hunger inside of him. He plays corner just so mean, and I absolutely love the way he plays. I would love to see him make this team. The Keely Ringo experiment is over for me. I don't really care about that. We traded for the guy from Oakland last year. I can't even remember his name. That shows how impactful he was throughout the season. I want guys that are hungry. I want guys that are going to go out and give it their all, whether they get beat or not. And I want guys who really know how to play the game. And Mac McWilliams is one of those guys. I love seeing him going out there and getting starting with the ones because that's where he belongs. Undersized, but not underwilling to go out and do whatever it takes to get the job done. And that made me happy to see today. Vic Fangio also in his presser earlier came out and said that we're going to see some defensive starters in the Eagles' first preseason game against Baltimore. That's what Vic Fangio likes to do. Vic says we probably won't see Jonathan Grenard for at least a couple more weeks. And then, of course, like we covered a minute ago, says Jalen's having a great camp. He likes to play defense in the preseason. I wish the offense would do the same thing. It gives guys a chance to go out and get their feet wet, make mistakes early that aren't going to hurt you during the regular season. Yes, there's a risk for injury. Yes, there's a chance shit happens. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm playing all my guys, at least for a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half, depending on how things look. Put them out there. We need to see what this team really looks like. And this is how Vic knows who's starting on week 1 and who isn't, because he's going to watch them go out and play. You can't judge linebackers and running backs off training camp. You just can't. Every year, corners get beat, linebackers get beat, and then they come out and they play in the regular season and they look like a totally different player. Vic understands this. He's been in the league long enough to get it. And it's exciting, guys. We're getting our first look soon against the Ravens, and it should be a good matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I want to talk a little bit about the 76ers too before we get out of here. LeBron, Tyrese working together, Jaylen Brown working with those guys. You're seeing pictures now of Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Embiid looks really slim. Guys, I'm just going to come out and say it. It's boom or bust. I understand that Embiid might get hurt. The bench might not put up any points. I think you have 4 guys on this team that can absolutely get it done day in and day out. You've got 2 really young guys that are, one, Maxey being in the pretty much the prime of his career. VJ still putting things together, but unbelievable hustle and defensive prowess. Jaylen Brown, you could argue, is right in the prime of his career too. 28, 29 years old, maybe 30 years old. Coming off, coming off a finals MVP, a couple years ago, coming off 4th in MVP voting last year, 4th in scoring. I mean, Jalen did everything right and still got shipped out, so that chip that's on his shoulder has got to be heavy, and I can't wait to watch him brush it off. And then you got LeBron, who really has nothing left to prove, but still wants to go out and prove that he belongs in this league. And I think that's dangerous. I think the last couple years with LA really soured LeBron. I think he thinks that it soured his career in some way, shape, or form. And I hope he comes to Philly, and I hope we put it all together, because this was always the perfect place for LeBron. I have been on here 3 different times in my life begging LeBron to come to Philadelphia, and for it to be real, it's just a surreal feeling. And I hope the love of the city and the way the city loves him, I hope it just breeds the championship mentality that we need this year. Nick Nurse has won a championship with the right amount of talent on his team. I don't want to hear any excuses. He's not the best coach, but he's been there, done that with a team before. And I have all faith that he can go do it again. We need some pieces. We need our bench to play right. We need a couple guys to elevate their game at the right time. And we might still need a trade or a move to get to where we exactly need to be. But I have the utmost faith in this team. I think they have championship caliber talent, all over the place. And it's going to be really disappointing to see anything less than at least an Eastern Conference Finals. If we make it to the if we make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and say the Knicks take us out in 6 or 7, at least then you fought. At least then you've shown real progress. There was something to build on this year. I'm not saying I wouldn't be bummed out. If you make it that far, you want to go all the way. Look at OKC last year. The finals could have been very different had they not folded to San Antonio in the playoffs. It could have been very, very different. Had Jalen Williams been healthy, we could be having a totally different discussion. So, if you get there, you obviously want to make it all the way, but at the same time, you have to at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It can't be a first round exit. It can't be a second round exit. We need to really make some noise. If Embiid is really slimmed down the way he looks, and if he can maintain some level of health this year, play 40, 45 games, I'm going to call that a win. If we can get him to the playoffs healthy, that's a win. That'll help make sure that our seeding is decent throughout the year. You want to at least be a 2, 3, or a 4. You don't want to fall too far down, have to deal with too much on the road shit. You'd get a lot more done in the playoffs if we could actually get the home field advantage and take advantage of it. Also, the schedule's been released. It looks like it's going to be Sixers Knicks on opening night. Kind of weird not to be playing the Celtics. I feel like it's always the Celtics, but that's going to be a dogfight. That's going to be a hell of a game one. Two healthy teams, hopefully, going at it. Going to be a lot of fun to watch. We'll do a little bit more on the schedule moving forward whenever I get some more free time. We'll do a full video breakdown on what to expect and what games are kind of ones that we're going to be circling on the calendar this year. All right, guys, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for sticking through this one. I know it was all over the place, but I got a lot to cover, a lot to catch up on. Now we can kind of get back into our routine now that things have calmed back down again. Got a new job, so I'm going to be kind of adjusting to a new schedule, but every night we're going to have at least one video. On the weekends, we might have a couple more. TikTok will remain a lot more active. So if you guys aren't following me on TikTok, be sure to check me out over there. If you're on TikTok, check out the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Again, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for your support. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.